always gonna cry. The only thing that matters is you get what you decide. But I know for sure today will come when you first realize what you have done, and you finally get your debt repaid, and your vengeance served on a cold plate. You hear the roll of the shutdown when the world will stop without a sound. In a moment you will cry for help, and we only think about ourselves. Oh yeah. The first time that I met you, I thought it looked so sweet. I stood around for the hills, beating a retreat. And when I heard you talking with that alluring sound, should I recall the sirens and how that things went down? Living on the trenches.
Hey, filmmakers, welcome back to the Blackmagic Collective live streams. This time is our first ever Austin chapter. Cannot wait until we can finally go and be live in person with you guys in Austin. But until then, thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here. Let us know where you're from. What do you do in the biz right there in your comment box. So Blackmagic Collective, if you're new to this completely, we are a collective of film and TV artists and crew. We meet regularly on the business and craft with education events that focus on the tech side. Membership is free, so go join at blackmagiccollective.com. You will get all the updates and all the events coming up. Like next week, we have Tommy Lee from Motley Crue. We're talking to him about his home streaming setup, and we have how to make it as a videographer later in the month. Like just lots of stuff is going to start happening. So get in there and get involved. Very excited to introduce you to our brand new BMC Atlanta chapter. And soon you'll be hearing from Austin Filmmakers, hosted by filmmaker Olexiy Kryvych. And submissions are now open for the Blackmagic Collective Film Festival. If you have a 5-minute or less short, please submit it. It's free to submit, and at the end, you win big prizes. Last year, they won an Ursa Mini G2. They won $1,000 in cash. All kinds of cameras were given away, so get in there with that. And a very special thank you to our sponsor, Blackmagic Design, because without you, we couldn't do any of this. Blackmagic Design is always so good to filmmakers, and they always listen to what we want and help, give us what we need, and we're so grateful for them. And finally, we are going to pick a winner for Blackmagic DaVince Resolve. So if you RSVP'd, we'll announce the winner at the end, and we'll be in touch to get you that code. And finally, before we bring on our guests, we have a Q&A box right there. If you put your comments right in that box, we'll be able to answer your questions live while you're here. So thanks for tuning in. And I want to get started right away with why many of you are here. And we're excited to talk to the one and only Christy Carlson Romano. I hope Kayla brings her up. Hi. Hello.
I am
You're so adorable.
I am in the midst of hosting my little girl's second birthday party, and I literally forgot. But I was like, you know what? I'll keep them on. What's up, everybody?
Totally. I love it. Thank you for jumping out of the party to jump into this for a few minutes to talk to us.
Of course. You look, by the way, fantastic. Are you using a Blackmagic right now? Because you look perfect.
I actually am. I have a Blackmagic 6K pocket cam, and also lots of lights and little whistles and bells and whistles, but lots of makeup. But look, you know what I really want to talk to you about, just since this is the Austin first event. You moved to Austin. You made that your place to live. What drew you there?
A lot of things, actually. Austin had been on me and my husband, who's now my producing partner. It's been on our list for a long time, regardless of the level of production and what was happening here. But it was always a part of the conversation. Like, we've always been hearing about how Texas had a vibrant artistic community. And, now more than ever, even Elon Musk is saying, in articles recently, that in the next 10 to 15 years, Austin is going to be a huge boom town. Huge boom town.
Wow.
So it's and locals here are saying that it's in the next 10, 15 years, the population is going to double. Now, Austin in of itself it is an artistic place, but let me tell you, there is not a lot of photographers. There are not a lot of videographers, but that doesn't mean that they're not coming. They're coming, and it's going to be amazing because their infrastructure for artistic productions to happen quickly, like it's all here. There's a lot of places, public land, but just in general, that you don't need permits on for certain things, and building and like, you know, quick productions. And kind of like, I remember when a lot of my friends who were doing low budget movies in Louisiana, they were able to go to smaller towns, and they were able to like not have to deal with as, you know, stringent permitting or as expensive and stuff like that to get like amazing chase scenes on a highway and like just interesting locations and interesting areas to be able to really build their production companies on. So I'm thrilled to be here.
I love it. It sounds like it's like almost if like Atlanta had you gone, you know, 5 years ago, you could have gotten in before. Now it's like Austin might be the next place. I live in LA, but I think a lot of us during the pandemic have been thinking, I don't really need to live here. Like I could do what I do anywhere because they fly me wherever I'm going to shoot films anyway.
Right.
So I love that that's on the table because it's also way cheaper to live there than it is to live here.
For now it is. You know, and
that's what I'm saying. Got to do it now, right?
You gotta try to get grandfathered into whatever your lease would be. But honestly, it's the mentality of the people here that really is. And I just, you know, experienced the storm. We had to push this panel because the crazy Austin storm left us without power and water. And I think that the state as a whole learned a very valuable lesson about their grid and their reliability on the energy, and all of that stuff is being debated and talked about now at length on even a national level. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, that's just something that's going to be handled. They're aware of the opportunity for the growth in Austin alone. So there's lots of conversations that are being had right now after what we just went through. But it was really crazy, you know, to go through that. But the community of people, even just on my street, I had posted to my Facebook, and somebody I knew in college many years ago swooped me up. Her husband had a Suburban. My children were, you know, it was so cold in the house that they started having like air, you know, that you could see.
Yeah.
So the kindness that we saw, our neighbor told us a pipe burst in the house and we got a plumber here, all because of the community. And, you know, because we don't really know anyone here. The Austin is exactly what they say it is, which is why I think there's also like a little bit of protectiveness here too. You know, like I think people are a little concerned. So if you're not nice, don't come to Austin.
I actually think that might be something the Filmmaker panel touches on after we get off, is that on why Austin is such a great community for filmmakers. I keep hearing that over and over again, that everybody really kind of helps, bands together and helps to get things done. And I love it. Welcome Troop Dat Films. He says, hey, BMC fam. Reminder to everybody who's watching, put your comments or questions in the box and we will definitely get to them. I'm going to jump in with just a huge question for you, which is, I mean, you've been on so many different kinds of sets. You've had a very long career at this point. What is one of the most important lessons that you could pass on to filmmakers who are just about to have their first TV show, either actors or filmmakers? Like, how do they step in and just
that are about
keep
to have
that longevity?
So actors or filmmakers who have actors who have just stepped into the position of having a recurring role on a TV show.
Yeah, they're just going to get their first. They're finally got it. What advice can you impart on them?
I think that you need to make sure that you stay in your own lane. Like, don't worry about what the gossip train is saying. Keep the way that you're going to continue to be hired, the way that you're going to be the most liked. And honestly, that's going to keep you working and keep your name out of people's mouths. You know, that is something I think is super valuable. And over time, no one's just simply not going to tell you that you have to stay super positive and to be extremely collaborative, be very grateful. I used to have a teacher, an acting teacher, that used to say, don't let your expectations exceed your gratitude. And that is sort of what I would impart upon people when entering into production, because the production space is so intimate. It's so small that it's really like a house, and like everyone's living in it for a certain amount of time. So, you know, you're spending every day with each other, and of course everyone's concerned. So I can only imagine that being on set during the pandemic is even more bonding to one another because you're literally relying on each other to keep each other healthy and alive. So yeah, that's I would say positive mental attitude.
I always tell everybody, know your crew, know your people. Like everybody has a name. Everybody's there for a reason. I think especially actors get in their own little bubble world and don't realize there's a whole world around them. But even directors come onto TV sets. Some of them haven't even read the script. They're just like, what are we doing next? It's insane to me.
That's terrifying. Insane. That's terrifying.
Okay. So here's a question that always gets filmmakers salivating. I'm going to ask you this one. What do you look for in scripts you decide to do? And what do you look for in the director to say yes to that script?
So I don't generally, and I probably should be pickier about the directors that I'm working with. I have an inherent trust in who's been hired to be the director.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? I have this inherent trust of probably I just have had really positive experiences with most directors. I've become a director myself. And so I'm really excited to start using my black magics in a feature length rather than all of the content that I've been making on my YouTube and all sorts of different content that I'm making. But I'm very excited about what I have coming down the pike this year, and that, the black magics are going to give me the ability to just play and grow and, make movies. So I'm so sorry. I totally went off. I have mom.
We're going to get on to that too, but just wondering what draws you to a script? Like what makes you say, yes, I want to do that project as an actor, or if you want to say as a director. But I think filmmakers love hearing like how they can reach out and go, how do I get Christy to say yes to my script?
Well, I think having a good script that's in a position of being super organized. I don't want to see I will tell you this, guys, actors don't want to see typos. So make sure you don't, you have your formatting done, because what it does is it cheapens the script for an actor, especially if you're already working with a limited budget. They want to make sure that you have your shit together before before they even consider it. But if it's a great script, then they're going to like completely bypass anything like that, formatting aside. But definitely make sure your formatting is industry standard, up to par, clean, and that way it will be taken seriously. And then in general, if a part is sort of nudged my way, I appreciate when my people bring me something that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like there's a reason for thinking that I would be associated with this part. Like there's a take on why it would be good for me. There's been some thought that's been given to what would I benefit from this? It's not just, oh, you're a name, let's like put you in this so that I can sell it and exploit you. It's like very, very obvious when that's sort of like, she could be the female lead. But if someone were to come to an actor and be like, look, I actually appreciate your talent, I appreciate your brand, and this is why we think so-and-so would be a good fit. So I think that that's also kind of charming when, if you're courting, I guess you could say, courting the actor to be a part of your production.
I love that. And I think that that's something that every filmmaker really needs, especially people who are doing indie films. Guys, it's too easy to be like, oh, I can get this person because they're famous. And it's the wrong reason to ever get a person anyway. I think this comment is really, I just want to share this one comment. It's really hilarious. Fabletown says, came to support a friend. I had no idea Kim Possible was going to show up. Welcome to Austin.
I saw that. Thanks, Fableton.
I think that's adorable. And that leads me, because I know we only have a little bit of time left with you. What I would love to know is, tell us what you are working on. Is there anything you can tell us about the feature you're going to direct, or what's going on?
Sure. I have a Christmas feature in development.
I am so jealous. I want to do a Christmas film so bad.
You really got to do it at some point in your cinematic career. You're going to just get too hard if you do, all the serious stuff. I've been really enjoying that. I actually really do enjoy family content and family films. And it's something that I think I would, if I had my way, I would be working, with Disney as a director. And honestly, guys, like even in my stage of life, I have a degree in film, and I have already done a Christmas feature with young people. Disney's not handing me directing roles. It is that competitive. They are saying to me that I have to shadow, and they're saying to me that I have to put in my hard work, and I have to shoot. I have to keep shooting. I have to keep making content. I have to keep showing them what I'm doing on my own time. So I have 2 kids. I'm not able to constantly be shooting. But that being said, because I have the Black Magics, I will be able to advance my portfolio so much more, not only just as an actor if I choose to be on camera, but behind the camera as well.
I love it. I do love that I think cameras now are so versatile and can look so beautiful that you can make little things here and there. But I'm with you. I'm like, I don't want to keep shooting. I've shot 6 feature films at this point, and TV still considers me a first-time director. Like this business it can be something. All right. I know I want to let you get back to
this right here.
Back to your birthday party, but I'm really grateful. Yes, but
I
I'm
have
so
many
grateful.
hats. I wear many hats. This seems to be one that I wear a lot, but
that hat looks very cute on you.
Thank you.
Thank you for stepping away from the party. Give your daughter a big thanks for us, and
thanks, guys.
hopefully we can see more of you when you start shooting.
Oh yeah, whatever you need, I'm here. I absolutely love Black Magic. You guys definitely keep tuning into this. Jen is awesome. So have a great day, guys.
You. All right, bye, Christy. So apparently, we've been told that our links didn't go out properly. So we're going to try to send out a quick email to get more people. But in the meantime, while Kayla is working with John to make that happen, I want to bring up Austin filmmaker Olexiy Kryvych to join me. I don't know if there he is. Hey.
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
It's a little wonky. I think because we rescheduled you guys with the whole power outage, maybe the old links went out, and that's kind of a bummer. But we're going to get that fixed. We're going to get some more people over. And in the meantime, I just wanted to kind of let everybody know who you are. Tell us, what's the big dream? When you're living the dream and you have everything you ever want, what are you doing?
Writing and directing my own films.
I love it. What kind of films do you like to do?
Drama. Primarily drama. And then once kind of more experience gets in the way, I'm a really big fan of Tarkovsky. So going into that direction a little bit, but definitely dramas. Like very kind of family relationship-based dramas.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So I'm going to actually turn this over to you, Austin people. I'm going to let you take over. And we'll see what happens. But everybody, welcome to your first ever Austin chapter. And hopefully next time we'll be live and in person in Texas. Who knows?
Hopefully so.
All right. Later. I'm out.
All right. Awesome. So thank you, everybody, for coming. We're excited to start this Austin panel right here. And today, so we're going to kind of talk about why Austin is a dream town for filmmakers, why everybody's coming here right now, and how each one of the panelists kind of started our careers here and what we're doing right now. So the first person I'm going to introduce is Robert Paschall. He's a producer and advertising executive. He's produced and directed a film called Sec Fault. It's a 90-minute feature that was shot in less than 24 hours and received a standing ovation at the Toronto International Film Festival. So welcome, Robert. And then, there you go. Robert's here. And then we have Ashlyn Evans. So Ashlyn is a local independent actress here who's been working in Austin for 2 years. And she's going to share with us how to get started in acting when you're starting from scratch and how to kind of maneuver around this business without an agent and how you can get more gigs. So since we kind of started with you, if you would just want to share why you chose to be independent, because I know you and I talked about being an independent actor and why you chose that path and how has it been working out for you?
Right. So when I first moved to Austin, I did previously have an agent, and I only had them for a couple months left in our contract when I moved to Austin. And so I had to make the choice of, okay, do I renew this contract or not? And ultimately, I decided to not renew that contract. And it was because, honestly, I was finding a lot of work on my own without my agent's help, which goes to show that, you can do it on your own. And it also gave me a learning experience for, maybe what to look for an agency in the future of, are they really your partner and are they working for you, or are they just a name, And so that's how I first got it into independent. And it's just been a great journey for me to go ahead and, try things out on my own, learn a lot of stuff on the way without having this know all be all kind of over me.
Right. So how do you look for gigs now? What's your main source of gigs?
Right. Of course, there's always the mainstream ones like Backstage, Actors Access, casting networks. But Austin has such a great community where you can even find groups on social media these days, like Facebook and Instagram. Of course, there's always posts being with University of Texas. They have a great film school there. So people are always posting on social media being like, hey, I'm doing a film for school, who wants to be a part of it? Let's do some auditioning and casting. So honestly, that's a great way to go ahead and dip your feet in, is to just join groups, look up hashtags and see who's creating what and see what you want to get involved in.
Right. And I know that you and I kind of got connected and we decided to kind of create a small group too. And then, when you have a project, when you have an audition, you can reach out to other people to be like, hey, do you want to be my reader? Or, hey, I'm shooting this. Do you want to be my model for today? I'll give you the footage later. So I feel like Austin has a very nice community where people reach out to each other and they don't feel, when I've reached out to different DPs and ACs, they've been very open,
Yeah, and that's something
you're always afraid of being dismissed or something, but all of them are really open to grab coffee and talk about future projects and how you can collaborate. And I'm sorry, you were going to say?
No, you're totally fine. You're absolutely right. And that was actually a huge lesson I learned when I came to Austin as well. So you and I met when we were working at the same restaurant. And when I first got there, people were saying, oh, what do you do here? Yada, yada. And I was really shy at first. I didn't want to say I was trying to get involved in acting because, a lot of people don't really understand that realm. I was scared I was going to be judged and everything. And then when I did actually start, mustering up the courage of I'm, trying to do some acting right now, lo and behold, you are too, and you're doing filmmaking, and some of our other coworkers are doing the same thing. And so one of the biggest lessons I learned was to go ahead and talk about your craft, to people, whether that's at work or when you're on set. Same thing with being on set. What you said of, people are really receptive here. They're artists. And, sometimes when you go places, people can kind of be gatekeeping a little bit. You're asking them a question and, people don't really want to give the full truth or the full answer. But here, whenever I've been asking people questions of oh, what do you do? What do you think about this acting class? What do you think about this agency? Everyone's very receptive. And, we all want to help each other out. We're all in the same boat of we're just trying to make our dream happen and make some art. And that's a really beautiful thing. And that's one thing I've loved about Austin.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So we actually have a question here. So would you recommend Austin to someone starting in post-production, editor and colorist? And that's a question for everybody. So if you have an answer, for example, Robert or Ashlyn, feel free to answer.
Yeah, I'd recommend Austin for anybody starting out in production, post-production, or anything they want to get into as far as the arts. When you're talking photography, video, or post, whatever. It's a great town. There's a lot of things at your fingertips to do. Like Ashlyn was saying, you can. It's not LA. Not everybody wants a contract and $20,000 to come out for the day to be a model on a small shoot or put something together for your reel, because everybody's just looking to make art. And one thing I'm going to back up about what Ashlyn said as well, those filmmakers at those schools that are looking for actors, those filmmakers are going to become filmmakers that are hiring actors, and you want to be that actor that showed up on set to do their free thing for school that then got hired to do, their bigger project. So I think that's important. I think it's important that everybody helps everybody out. There's been jobs where I've shown up to set on short films for people after I've directed and produced a bunch of films, and I've brought gear. And for instance, there's a guy named David Lowery. He directed Ghost Story. He did Pete's Dragon, a bunch of other things. And when he was doing Ghost Story, he needed stunt crash pads. And he called me up and said, hey, can I get some stunt crash pads? And I called one of my stunt buddies and drove over to his house and loaded him in a truck and drove him to David's set. And he made Ghost Story really cheap with Casey Affleck. And it's a great film. It's a great drama. And those things have to happen in film. They have to happen in art across the board, or nobody gets ahead. I always laugh because people think that they get in the film industry to be rich and famous, but that's a very few of us are rich and famous in the film industry. The rest of us are just making art and having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
So
and trying to uplift each other and trying to make each other help each other out, because we're all in the same boat. We're all trying to make art, and I think like Austin and Texas in general is just very welcoming and very open to people. I mean, me personally, I do commercials for small businesses here. So, and, I started as a photographer, and then I transitioned into directing, and then essentially I did everything myself, editing and coloring and DPing myself. So, when people come from out of town and they're looking for other people, other like-minded people, that's a great space.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's perfect because you have a variety of different levels of projects. You have very small ones for small businesses, you have higher ups, and then you have the feature films. So there's just a variety of projects to kind of get started on. So Ashlyn, one question I wanted to ask you. So being an independent actress, how do you kind of stay safe, and how do you avoid some of the traps of fake auditions, or how do you avoid some dangers of that? How do you maneuver that by yourself?
Right. That's a really good question, because unfortunately, anywhere you go, that stuff is going to be present. There's just slimy people out there. So the best thing you can do is make sure whoever is doing casting and everything, they have information. If they're giving out really vague information or seem really messy about it, things keep changing, then that could be a red flag. Another thing is to try to look them up, look up their past work. If you look them up and their past work looks really, really bad, don't go for it, or if you can't find anything, go ahead and request it. It's really important that you know what you're getting yourself into, that, especially when it comes to locations, are the locations safe? Do you know about them? Do you know where they are? Look them up on your GPS, try to look them on Google Earth. Is it a sketchy warehouse, or is it out in public and in the open? Stuff like that can really save you a lot of heartache. Also, when it comes to payment, if they're saying, we'll give you $5,000 for 3 hours of work, the saying is true. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. So just keep a level head on your shoulders. I think that's how you have to stay aware, is use your common sense.
Right. So we're kind of switch gears and talk to Robert. So Robert, if you want to, what makes Texas great for you? What are some advantages that you really love about it, and what are some things that you wish that would change?
There's several levels to that. One of the things I would change is get more tax credits. I mean, that's just that's what it is. That is what it is. That's probably one of the only things I would change. What I love about Texas is, like Ashlyn was saying, people are here to help each other out, and we do on that level. And then on the higher levels, the permits aren't as hard to get as they are in LA. Crew costs, electricians, grips, gaffers, camera operators. The hourly cost on those guys is so much better. I'll give you an example. I was working on a TV show. There was a Fox produced TV show. The episodes, it was 22 episodes a year. Each episode cost about $3 million. That show, and that was shot in Dallas. That show moved to LA. In that same exact show, same cast, everything, nothing raised except for the location from Dallas to LA, was then $6 million. So it cost twice as much with crew costs, permits, overtimes, locations. We were on the same show. We were shooting with we were going to location. We were talking to the guy who owned the location, and the location manager was talking to him when we were doing our tech scout or our scout. And he said, so what's the money looking like on this? And the location manager said, well, it's going to be, $2,000. We'll be in for a day, and, we'll come clean up the next day, and anything we break, we have insurance and all this and that. And he goes, and the guy who owned the location said, well, how long do I have to come up with the $2,000? And the guy that owned the location thought he had to pay for the show to come shoot at his house. And that's Texas, where if you're walking down the street in Los Angeles, which I've shot in for 6 years, and a crew member parks in front of somebody's house, that person doesn't even own the street, but they want a rental for them parking in front of their house, because it's so much of it there. And if Texas becomes a place like California where there's so much shooting going on here, then that eventually will happen. But at this point in time, it's not that way. It's great. There is a lot of camaraderie. And even, Joe Shapiro just commented that he's in LA and he finds it hard to discover the camaraderie. But Joe, you should come out to Austin. You should come to Dallas. You should come to Houston. You should come to these cities out here and work with some of these people. They want to work with you. They want to work with everybody. It's a great place to shoot. It really is.
So he's kind of asking, as far as online resources, if he's not currently here, what he could be doing to find those things.
Fund projects. Funding is a different beast. I mean, I do it on every film. We go after funding. I am lucky enough to have caught the attention of some investors that I've been able to pay them back every single time I've made a film, and they enjoy working with me. And if I was shooting a film in Texas, they would be funding it. If I was shooting a film in the Ukraine, they would be funding it. But that's the relationship I have. And Olexiy, you know who I'm talking about. But with funding in LA, in Dallas, no matter where you're at, there's some, just like Ren Stevens, Christy Carlson, is that her name? I know her as Ren Stevens from Even Steven. Yeah. What she was saying about just shooting and shooting and shooting. I mean, I've been in her situation before. I'm not now because of the sources that I have and the way I print my films. But before I got to that point, I shot a movie for ABC Family, and I directed it and produced it, and they put it on, and I went to go do another one, and they were like, "Oh, well, we're okay." And then, The Locker, when I did The Locker, The Locker didn't sell in the United States at all. So not a lot of people in the United States knew about that film, but it made a ton of money in the Middle East and Asia. So, you just have to keep shooting until the right people see your film. And the right people didn't see my film until I had been doing this for 20 years. But
right. Oh, and we actually have
Apple. Yeah.
He meant not fund, but find.
They're here.
Yeah.
There are projects here. I shot since the beginning of January. I've shot 12 commercials that we hired entire crew and cast and catering and everything on. I have, in the next 2 weeks, I have 9 more commercials to shoot for clients. And the work is here. It's here.
I mean, so as far as actually finding things, I'll speak on kind of, because we're all at, different levels and we're all doing different things. As far as myself, I'm at the level where I direct smaller commercials for like with smaller budgets and smaller crews. So for me personally, how I find work is by making work and making sure that people see it. I think my motto has been always, and especially last year and this year, is work begets work. The more work you put out and the better it is, the more people are going to see, the more people are going to like, and that's how you get the attention of other people. So like for me personally, Instagram has been a very nice resource. I mean, everybody's there. All the DPs, all the ACs, all the crew people, they're all on Instagram, and they're all kind of, commuting together, and they're all sharing projects. So for me, I've just been posting my work constantly, trying to get as diverse as possible, and tagging, like Austin or Austin, Texas, or Austin Film, finding those. I mean, then you have to do your homework where you have to find pages that post that kind of work so other people see your work. And also personally, I've been looking up, as soon as I moved here, I was like, okay, who do I want to work here in Austin? Who do I have to look up to? And I looked up all the DPs. I looked up all the photographers. And I was like, okay, these are the people I want to work with. And you actually start, you follow them, you start liking the work, you actually engage with them. And then, I have, for example, there's one great DP here that I've been following for like 2 months, and then I finally gathered up my courage. I was like, you know what? I just want to ask him if I could work with him. So we met up for coffee, and he's like, yeah, dude, let's do something together. And Austin is great that way. It's just, you have to reach out. You have to find those people, and then you have to reach out to them and produce more and more work. That's good. So
yeah, that's kind of like my story with starting the agency, making your own work. We've talked about this. I went into a car dealership. I was broke, had no money. I was driving a really shitty car, excuse my French. And I had just a little bit of money to purchase a camera. And I bought a camera, and I shot a commercial for a car dealership for free. And they loved it, and they hired me, and they liked my work so much because they liked my work ethic and how I was putting it together, that I ended up within a year, I had 7 other dealerships. I had a hospital, I had a carpet cleaning company, and I built that from being completely broke to 10 years later, 55 clients and 22 staff. And, we're cranking out commercials and digital marketing and social media stuff. And if I can do this, anybody can do, any filmmaker can do this. And it's a good way to fund your film career, doing commercial work and advertising work. I mean, from acting to directing to producing camera work, we always say, hey, we go do the commercials for the money so we can go shoot the short films for free. It's true.
From an actor perspective too. Oh, sorry. Okay. I was going to say from an actor perspective too, I would reflect all of that as well. What they said, social media, reaching out, 100% true for actors as well. Look up casting directors, and if they have social media, follow them. Don't berate them in their DMs. Stay professional. But same with filmmakers, producers. Kind of dabble, comment on their stuff. And then eventually maybe you can send a DM of like a question, that you have. Another way is that if you are completely starting from scratch as an actor specifically, and you're like, I don't have any work to show, and I don't know how to make my own, I don't know anyone. The one thing that I think is key, in a sense, is very vaguely fake it till you make it with, have professional headshots. As long as you have that one key, people are going to go ahead and listen to you. If you don't even have a photo of your face that's clear and looks nice and professional, they're going to go, eh. But as long as you have that like one marker, your headshot is essentially your work, right? That is your expression. That is what you look like. And with that, you're already halfway there sometimes.
I have to totally agree with Ashlyn on all of those points. I've never cast an actor and looked at their resume before I cast them. They come in, we look at headshots, we have them read a couple times, whatever. We figure out if we like them or not. And a lot of times we'll have 5 different actors or actresses that are lined up for the same part. And one of them gets cast. That doesn't mean who didn't get cast didn't do a good job. It boiled down to a client's preference or the client says, oh, this lady reminds me of my second grade teacher, and that's why she got cast, or whatever. It could be anything, but I've never flipped it over and gone, well, what has she done? You know, what's gonna, we're not lawyers. We're not, accountants, not looking for a resume of what have you done. We're literally looking for a face and somebody who can perform the work. So I have to back her up on that. And I also have to back her up on this. Actors hanging out with actors is whatever, and directors hanging out with directors is whatever. But actors, you should find the directors and producers. And directors and producers, you should find the actors, because you all need each other. And there's been this weird thing. I've noticed it at film festivals. You see like the directors and producers hanging out, and then you'll see like the actors and the actresses hanging out. They should all be co-mingling, because the actress that you're the best friend with, she's going after the same jobs as you. And the director that you're the best friend with and you're a director, he's going after the same jobs as you. So you should co-mingle with the actors and the actresses and the directors and the producers. So
yeah,
do it.
And this is a perfect example too, because we have an actor, we have a director, we have director, producer. So do more of this.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much. And so we had a comment from Kelly that about creating your content, creating your own content, and how that now we live in an age where, people are just not waiting anymore to get auditions, to find work. They're not waiting anymore. They're actually starting to make their own stuff. And it's actually way more beneficial, because you're doing the stuff you actually like and that you want to do, rather than, constantly looking for something that might not fit you, but you have to do it because you're struggling for money or for work or whatever. Make your own work. I think that's like the best thing to do. Make your own work and get better with time. So we have a comment from Kayla. So when she first started, I only had the headshot, which happened to be my senior portraits in high school, and started booking auditions. A way to get your foot in the room. Exactly. You got to start with what you have, and then build from that, and then look up other people that you look up to, and see how they're doing it, and pick out the best parts that you would want to have, Right. And I'll talk personally. Like, again, my work as a director, I look at other directors and I'm like, oh, he's done that really well. Or like other DPs, like, oh, he shot that really well. Oh, he has a blog and he talks about how he's lit it. I was like, oh, that's awesome. I'm going to use that. I'm going to make myself better and bring up my own game. You know what I mean? And Ashlyn and Robert, feel free to comment on that as well.
I tell my children this. I tell everybody I meet this if I have the opportunity. Don't take advice from somebody who's never been there. And my kids, my two boys, they want to be in real estate. I don't do real estate. So I can't give them advice. And consciously, I want to be like, oh, you need to do this and this and this. But guess what? I don't really know. I have no clue. So I introduced them to a friend of mine who does real estate, and they're going to intern for him when they get out of high school. But as an actress, as an actor, as a director, as a producer, if you're taking advice from your parents and they're not actors, actresses, directors, or producers, then they don't know what they're talking about. If you're listening to your college professor who's never acted or directed or produced, they don't know what they're talking about. You have to get out and meet these people who've done it. And a great tool that we all have, and I use it, is Masterclass. I watched the Ron Howard thing like 4 times because it was amazing, some of the stuff that he does that I've actually put into what I do on a regular basis on shoots. And there's tons of acting ones like Sam Jackson and Helen.
There's Kevin. Yeah, there's Kevin Spacey also. They got rid of Kevin Spacey. Well, right. Yeah, but there's a lot of actors as well.
Yeah. And you have to listen to the people who have been there. You wouldn't go to your mechanic and ask him about a lump on your skin. He's gonna look at your car and figure out what's wrong with that. So right. It's important.
I fully agree. And I know, 2020 and even still today, again, times are really hard sometimes to, talk with people, get in touch with people. I mean, I know social media and online, like everything is so accessible, or, if you're really shy or something, along with Masterclass, there's so many great YouTube videos from reputable sources. Make sure it's reputable, not just like anyone on the internet saying anything. But I know Backstage has a tons of videos from casting directors and directors, saying what they look for, what they want, actors and their experiences. Go ahead and research that. Everything's very accessible to us. Oops, sorry. And if you are shy or you just can't find your people in LA, there's gatekeeping people in LA, and everything's a struggle. You just have to be really proactive and try to find those answers yourself from professionals in the industry.
Yeah.
Right. So we have a question from Kelly. So for actors, I know actors that take every role that comes up, whereas I pick the roles I connect with. Is it smarter to do as much work as possible?
That's a really good question. I think it kind of differs person to person sometimes, but for me, I'm more picky. My time is very valuable. I think sometimes it can be harmful when actors don't put that value in their time, because then that's reflected, right? If you're doing just any gig with anyone and production's, not good, people don't know what they're doing, you might have a nice 5-minute long reel, but if it doesn't look good, what good is that going to do for you? So because I value my talent and skills and time, I'm a bit more picky about what I do. If you are just trying to get your foot in the door, have an open mind, but just know your worth.
Yeah, and I think that in the beginning of your career, obviously you need to do as much work as possible, because that's how you learn. That's how you learn all these lessons.
Don't be afraid of extra work.
Exactly. You learn all those lessons and then, progress and value your time. So we have a question from Joe Shapiro. So how about finding writers? I've been looking to collaborate with writers. Finding skilled writers who are up for a collaboration with the director rather than selling to a studio has been hard.
Joe,
I'm a writer.
What I would say, what I would say, you're over there. What I would say is, go to film festivals. Go to film festivals and mingle in the Filmmakers Lounge. Go watch the short films, because every one of those short films has a writer that wants to write and wants to collaborate. That's why they did the short film. As much as I don't love the politics at film festivals, because I really don't, I still go. I still go to South by Southwest. I still go to Toronto. I still go to these festivals and make sure that I'm in the room with these other filmmakers, because these are our people. Everybody that's watching this thing, everybody that's been on this thing, all of us, we're all the same group of people. We're all different, but we're all the same group of people. I know writers that you could collaborate with. Olexiy knows writers that you can collaborate with. Ashlyn knows writers that you can collaborate with. It's literally everybody here can help. I'm sure Kelly, who keeps commenting as well, knows writers you can collaborate with. She might be a writer and an actress.
Again, and it's also like a lot of people pigeonhole people. It's like I've been on sets where it's like I see an AC and everybody thinks of him as in his AC, but he's also a photographer. He's also a writer. He also does a bunch of all this stuff. And like nowadays, everybody does multiple things. Nobody's just one thing. So I would just ask, you connect with people on set and you ask them like, oh, what do you do? Can I see your work? Can I read this? And, people are really open to, like, oh, great. Yeah, I'll let you read this. I'll read your thing. Maybe we can collaborate and maybe we can write something together. Just look for people or ask people what else they do. Because like I said, I mean, we're not all just doing one thing. We're all multiply talented people. So
also film schools. Film schools have writers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And some of those film school writers, they write good stuff.
And in the future, they're gonna be really good. And it's
big writers,
like Robert said, it's like you got to work with these people now, because in the future they're gonna get up there, and it's really good to build that connection from early on.
Yeah.
So true.
I agree with that, because I'm right now trying to fund my first feature film, and I'm also looking at schools too. Because I know there's a lot of talented people, and I know that they're all really eager to work, and I'm gonna provide them with good conditions, and we're gonna collaborate, and we're gonna make something great together, and then later it's gonna be a good relationship. When they get those bigger gigs, it's gonna be a give and take. So definitely reach out to colleges. Definitely.
Yeah. And speaking on that too, if you're not confident in your own skills and abilities yet, what Olexiy said, meeting these people, at least working together when you're both beginners, a lot of times too, 50% is if they like you. If you're enjoyable to work with and you're trustworthy and they say, I have this script and I know this person, I know they're going to show up on time. I know they're going to have fun with me. And I know we can be creative together, they're going to instantly gravitate towards you, and so it's also just, being there is half the work.
Yeah, showing up. I think like the most important thing for me is whether the person is going to show up on the day of the shoot. This person is going to respond to my emails, respond to my calls, is going to talk to me. Like, I got to know that you will show up, that you will want to learn, you will want to create with me, and you're an enjoyable person to be on set with. It's like, if you're that person, that people get hired.
We all have watched that movie where we see that actor that we hate because we think they're a horrible actor, and we wonder how they're an actor, and it's because they're enjoyable to work with and people like them, and they're not even a good actor, but they still have that job.
Yeah.
I can name a couple that I watch movies and I'm like, why? But people love them. In fact, one of them I worked with, I thought this guy was horrible. I'm not going to say any names. Thought he was absolutely horrible. And then I ended up working with him on a movie, and he was the nicest guy in the world. I was like, I will do a movie with that guy anytime. And I saw the movie, and it was horrible, but he's still famous. I mean, he's real famous. Mm-hmm. So
there you go.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, I think it depends on the projects too, because like you as a director can open up a certain person. Like, he may be not so good in one movie, but just because,
yeah, correct.
Yeah, just because you connected differently and you were able to talk to him in a way to open him up and to give him material that fits him and like plays to his strengths or her strengths. I think that also really, because a lot of actors are hired, I believe. They're given these roles that are like, that doesn't fit you as a person. So
yeah,
I think
I got a whole thing. I can spend an hour on why actors should be typecast, but
yeah. Well, you should play to your strengths. Like, you should know who you are, what you look like, because I'm an actor too, and Ashlyn's an actor, and Robert has acted too. So we're all
a ton. Yeah.
We all know, like, I'm Ukrainian, I speak Russian, and I know for sure that I will probably like have to do some Russian bad guys or soldiers or whatever.
Oh, for sure. And Bruce Willis.
You know what I mean? But that's how I look, and I know what it is. It's like, I know what my strengths are. I know how to progress me more, and then I can open up and kind of like try different things. But at first, you need to play to your strengths.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's see. We just have a couple of minutes left. If there's any more questions left, now would be the time. And let's see.
Looks like Fabletown saying they're also actor, writer, director here. So look, hit them up.
Exactly.
DM them right now. Get their socials.
Yeah. So I think the last thing would be kind of a closing question, I guess, for everybody is like, where do you think Austin is heading, and do you think you're going to stay here? And what do you think the future of Austin will be? And Texas in general.
I think Austin is going to grow. I think all of Texas is growing. I think that there are. I don't know if any town will ever replace Los Angeles, and I'm only saying that because Detroit was completely replaced with auto manufacturers. There are no auto manufacturers in Detroit anymore. But when you look at Detroit, it's still auto manufacturer, capital of the United States. But I think because of technology and because of these black magic pocket cinemas, I think that you can go anywhere and you can turn anywhere into Hollywood. Austin, San Antonio, San Marcos, Dallas, Houston, Oklahoma City, anywhere can be Hollywood.
Yeah, I think right now we live in an age where if you have a great idea, if you have a great vision, like the tools are just so available that you can make it anywhere. So I think that's totally agree. Yeah.
I think what everyone else is saying, Austin's definitely going to just keep on growing. And to be honest, because of COVID, I think it's actually going to grow at an accelerated rate because so many people from Los Angeles have had to come out here and do work. Same thing with Atlanta. Atlanta's already a huge hub, and they are just booming right now, more than ever, because of this past year. And so because of that situation, now a lot more LA people have gotten a taste of Austin and Dallas too. And, they're finding, hey, this is actually a really good spot, and so they'll probably return, they'll come back, they know what's out here now. And so I think it's definitely just on its way up completely more. I'd love to stay in Austin. Life happens, I don't know, where I'll be in 10 years. Maybe I'll be somewhere else, but I know I can rely on Austin for art, and that will always have a special place in my heart. And I'd like to stay here and do my craft as much as I can.
Definitely. All right, so we're reaching our time here. Thank you so much, Ashlyn. Thank you so much, Robert. And thank you for everybody to coming here, asking the questions, being the part of this. And thank you so much for Black Magic Collective to putting all of this together. So
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. Bye, everyone.
Great. Thank you. So just a quick couple of reminders. So next Thursday, Black Magic Collective's first event is on, and it's a panel on streaming from home, and it's kicked off with Motley Crue's Tommy Lee. So if you can RSVP at blackmagiccollective.com. Also remember to submit your 5-minute or less short film to the Black Magic Collective Film Festival. It is free. Like and follow us on socials to get updates. And also just thank you so much again, Black Magic. Thank you for everybody that came here. Have a good one.